Welcome to Foxborough's Conservation Commission meeting of October 28th, 2024 in the Gala Meeting Room Town Hall. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. If anyone wishes to speak, they'll come up and use the microphones as we're being broadcast. At being 7 p.m., I'll open the meeting. Do we have any public comments? If not, do we have some minutes we can take care of?
Sure. I reviewed the minutes from the September 16th meeting. We covered NOIs for Water Street, an ANRAD for North Street, and an NOI for Patriot Place. It was very thorough, and I thought it captured everything. There was just one sentence under the North Street section, about the fourth little paragraph down. I think there's just something missing in that sentence, Diana. It says, the placement of wetland flags on the site, but feels the potential vernal pool may in the interior. I think maybe it's supposed to be maybe in the interior of wetland B.
You see it, Diana?
Where is this? He had no issues with the placement of wetland flags on site. Feels the potential vernal pool may be in the interior of wetland B.
Yep, I think it's just missing the word B.
Maybe. Okay.
Just missing a verb.
I got it. Okay.
And then, other than that, I thought they looked good. And I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from September 16th.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
As amended,
Yes.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
And I also reviewed the second set of minutes from the September 30th meeting. We covered 35 Panis Road, the continued hearing on 1 Patriot Place, 95 Main Street, request for certificate of compliance, and a potential land donation. Again, they were very thorough. There were just a couple of minor errors under the continued public hearing for 1 Patriot Place. In the last little paragraph, it says no major changes can be made to the plan. It should be made. And then in the following section for 95 Main Street, about 2/3 of the way down, it says removed the invasives and established a sedge cover that it should be can be maintained. The B is missing there.
I guess I don't like the word B.
Apparently not. Other than that, they looked good to me. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for September 30th.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Being 7:05 p.m., we have 17 Morse Street.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetland Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, October 28, 2024, at 7:05 in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Scott Oliveria for a 2-story addition with a deck at 17 Morse Street, Assessors Map 96, Parcel 20, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
Just for the record, identify yourself, please.
Scott Oliveira.
Megan Oliveira.
Okay. And do you your engineer is not here tonight?
He's not.
Okay. My biggest concern is this is a determination. I feel that it should be a notice of intent by the engineer. The plans look good, but there's too much vegetation, wetlands associated with this. They're flagged, but and a determination, we don't get a chance to go out and inspect, to verify the flags and just the amount of work. I feel, and anybody else can chip in, but it should be a notice of intent so that we have some orders of conditions and some follow-up. So, I don't know, anybody else have any comments? Now, what can be done to simplify things, you can withdraw the application for determination without prejudice, and that will close this out, and then the engineer can file a notice of intent. If you want to continue on with the determination, we will have to issue a positive determination, so that would also require a notice of intent. So it's just less paperwork and all if you just withdraw without prejudice.
Okay.
So, that agreeable?
Yeah.
Okay. Your engineer didn't give you any heads up on this at all?
No.
Okay.
It's not to say that this won't get approved. It's just, there's enough activity out here. What's being proposed is close to the resource areas, enough so that we want to have our opportunity to get out there, just inspect, see the line, see the flagging, confirm what your engineer has done. It's a little bit more work. But that's, like I said, not to say that at the end, you'll get your permit.
Okay.
And I know you've had some conversations with Jane Pierce, our prior agent, and did she ever get out to verify if that was a vernal pool or not?
She did come out. I think she said it was a vernal pool. She brought her net and her little, all
Okay.
her stuff and brought the kids out.
Okay.
And looked at a lot of stuff.
So that puts some more restrictions on it, so,
Bob, it's not, John says it's not a certified vernal pool, though,
Okay.
okay, all right,
and you can't certify it this time of year.
okay, all right. So, okay, thank you for that, Diana. All right, so, we'll just have no action on this, and then
I
talk
think
to
you
you.
need to have a motion to allow them to withdraw without prejudice,
Okay,
so we have a paper trail.
all right. You want to make it?
Sure, I'll make a motion. In response to a request to withdraw without prejudice, the request for determination for 17 Morse Street.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetland Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, October 28, 2024, at 7:10 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a notice of intent filed by Carly Imbriani, I hope I said that right, for a proposed upgrade of a residential septic system and existing lawn improvements at 10 Idlewild Street, Assessors Map 44, Parcel 32. Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspapers Publishers Association website.
The engineer's on Zoom.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Clennert from Collins Civil Engineering Group. And we're here for a notice of intent on the septic
Could you get a little
repair.
bit closer to the microphone, please?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, yes.
If I could turn it up.
There you go.
All right, so if I can share my screen, I can go over the project. And if you can let me know if you see the plan in front of you?
Yes, right.
Okay. So this is 10 Idlewood, and the existing septic system is right off the street in this area. There's an existing tank and a leaching pit. The green line is the wetland line delineated by Brook Monroe. The orange line is the 25-foot buffer. The purple line is the 100-foot. We plan on abandoning the leaching pit, which has failed, and putting in a new septic tank, and really putting in a very small septic system. And really, the only place it can fit, according to the property lines and the plumbing and the grading of the hill. It's a pretty sharp hill. We start up here at 283 and work our way all the way down to 271 and 270. So there will be a retaining wall. This system will be built completely within the 100-foot buffer. The closest we will get to the wetlands with the system will be 52 feet. And the limit of work line will be about 6 feet. And this is because this area, this hill, it's degraded. It's partially stabilized with poor seed. The owner would like to come in and loam and seed the area to more stabilize the steep hill. The limit of work line would start at the deck and work around the area, already disturbed area of grass and seed, and it could work around the septic and outside to the street. The system will be 5 feet above the water table. It's required because of the soils out there. And there will be a small retaining wall. It's about 2 feet high on the lower section of the system. And there will be an impermeable barrier set so that there won't be anything flowing towards the north. That's pretty much it. The system has failed, and we're hoping to get this. The system has been approved and reviewed by the Board of Health as well.
What's the retaining wall? Is that going to be a concrete wall or?
No, it will just be the landscape brick wall.
Okay.
It won't be high. It will be about 2.5 feet, and it will be one of those landscape interlocking brick walls, I believe.
All right. I was out there at the site, and yeah, that is a steep hill. Now, you got something, did you get something from DEP regarding the floodplain?
It is outside the floodplain from on our firm maps that are in the NOI. The latest firm maps show it outside the flood zone A.
Okay, no, I just was curious. I thought you had received something from the DEP regarding that.
Let's see. I have the DEP file number here.
Yeah.
It says, yeah, it says a portion of the project appears to fall within FEMA 100-year flood A. Now, the portion of the project, they may be thinking about the loam and seeding area. The septic system itself is completely outside the flood zone, according to the flood maps. And I would say that even according to the flood maps, because it's a zone A, it's not an established elevation. It looks like it runs right along the edge of the reservoir on the flood map.
Okay.
John's report said the proposed project does not indicate work will occur within map FEMA floodplain zone A.
Okay. But he also want to validate all on-site resource areas, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you want him to put in where the floodplain zone A is shown?
Yeah, I think that would probably be appropriate.
Okay.
Want to make the,
I have a question for you. You have on here that you're using stake straw bale check dams
Oh,
instead of the
yes.
silt sock. And we don't go along with hay bales. We always recommend silt socks and or with silt socks with.
Yeah, we're doing a straw wattle, a native straw wattle here. We could do a biodegradable wattle if necessary, or whatever the board would approve.
yeah, the wattle, because we were getting too many invasive weeds with the straw bales, so we've
Yeah.
changed to the wattle, so.
You want that up?
Yeah, these won't be straw bales. We're calling out a straw wattle, but we can actually do there's a biodegradable wattle out there as well, which is less invasive, I might say,
All
if
right.
that's all right.
Just in your plan, you've got stake straw bale, so.
Okay, yeah, that's, that may have just been, straw bale check dam. Okay, I see that right here, and that was for any erosion that was coming off the street. We can actually make that a straw wattle as well.
All right.
So can you update that on your plan, the detail?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, yep.
And then show the floodplain on it as well.
We can show the floodplain. It's going to be a kind of a crayon type of, because, we can show it the way that the FEMA shows it, and it's pretty much just along the edge of the water.
That's fine.
That's how I see it on the FEMA plan. So there's not really, not knowing an established elevation, that's pretty much exactly where it is. So we can definitely call it out.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Any comments from the audience? Anything else? Do you want to close it pending?
We don't meet again until the end of November because of Veterans Day.
Yeah,
So I do have a draft that you guys can sign, and
okay.
John can put in the standard conditions, one being that we get the updated plan.
Right.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion to close the hearing on SE 157646, 10 Idlewild Street. And that a updated plan. So
Well,
we-
just close the hearing first.
Want to close it first? Okay.
okay.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Opposed? None, okay.
Make a motion to issue an order of conditions for SE 157646, 10 Idlewood Street. Condition upon an updated plan, the new detail for the erosion control and the floodplain Zone A shown on the plan.
And change the,
Change the location of the,
no, change
Straw
the
bale.
the wording on that straw.
right, that's what the detail, and any reference to
Yeah.
straw bale to the new erosion control that the commission has requested.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetland Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, October 28th, 2024, at 7:15 PM in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom, on a request for determination of applicability filed by Michael and Susan Blanchard for an addition with a two-car garage, front porch, and rear deck at 24 Alden Street. Assessors map 110, parcel 14, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. The application is available for public inspection in the Conservation Office at Town Hall. This notice can also be found on the Massachusetts Newspaper Publishers Association website.
My name is Paul Jodas from Jodas & Sons. I'm the designer and general contractor representing Michael Blanchard and Suzanne. We're looking to put an addition with a mudroom and a two-car garage to the left side of the property. There is currently a curved circular driveway in the front that we're going to pretty much be staying right in front of. The plans that we have show that for the protection of which is basically, it's already a rear yard that's seeded grass, and we're not disturbing anything other than what's already there for, and all our, you can see that our staging areas for construction will all stay well outside that area.
Okay, this is, excuse me, another one of those issues very similar to what we had earlier tonight. It's a large project. We haven't been able to get out and verify the wetlands, and our current agent has recommended that we also request a notice of intent because of the complexity of it and being able to have an order of conditions so that we have some control over it.
Would it be helpful if I was to show you something from an aerial view beforehand? If I was just to pass it out before, I'm not objecting to anything you're saying. I was just wanting to know if there was if it would help at all.
Probably not.
Okay.
Okay. I was out there, but I'm not the expert on the wetlands, and so I did not try to verify anything, but I know the site, I know what you're talking about, keeping things, but it's just the size of the project and all of this. The determination does not give us any control over it at all if anything happens. So it's just the procedure for a notice of intent that is.
You would like to see, be it by doing it the other way. Do we need to do anything with the butters or anything like that?
The abutters will be notified on a notice of intent as well.
Okay.
So again, we can go take this forward and issue a positive and requiring a notice, or you can withdraw without prejudice, so.
And we withdraw without prejudice, we come back again in November?
Yep.
Yeah, check on the website what our deadline is. I know that it would be,
Because I would need to get the abutters list, and then the mailings.
right,
And,
there's a whole checklist, an NOI checklist.
Exactly, yeah.
So if the meeting's on the 24th, I'd have to get it in the paper on the 14th, so I'd have to get it by the 8th of November.
I could do that this week with no problem, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead
May I,
and do that?
before you go, may I ask, how long has that chain link fence been within the no disturb zone?
Pardon me?
The chain link fence?
Oh, geez.
Just, shouldn't be in that zone.
Yes. How long does that?
Yeah,
run?
so that came to our attention during this process. We were unaware of that. And obviously, that needs to be rectified, we're happy to work with you to do that.
Would we be able to, it's either remove it or relocate it or leave it
Could just
alone?
bring it closer to the house. That would take it out of the 25-foot no disturb.
Gotcha. Okay.
You would probably want to note that in your notice.
Right.
That'd be something you'll be doing as
Right,
part of
exactly.
mitigation.
Thank you.
Okay.
So you want to make this?
Similar motion?
Yeah.
We had made before? I'll make a motion for the applicant's request to withdraw the request for determination for 24 Alden Street without prejudice.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? None. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is 17 Spring Street. Good evening. Just for the record, you want to identify yourselves for the,
Yes, my name is Stephanie Ward. I own the home at 17 Spring Street.
Chris Hutchinson, her son.
all right. This is I issued the, cease and desist. Rich and I were both out there. Rich took pictures of what was there when we arrived. And I told your contractor to stay 100 feet away from the wetlands. I showed him where the wetlands were, told him to leave, stay 100 feet away. I know some disturbance had occurred within the 100-foot buffer, but I told him he could continue working on the area right next to the parking, the driveway.
Yes.
And then when I went out the next day, it was disturbed all the way to the edge of the wetlands. And that's the reason why the cease and desist. Now, you said when we were talking that that was the way it was the day before. But I was trying to get pictures on the screen for you, but they were not able to. But these are pictures.
Yeah, I was not there for either one of your visits, so I didn't.
What's that?
I didn't get to meet you when you came out.
Yeah. So when I told your here's another one, Rich, to stay 100 feet away, I thought he understood what I was talking about. So that's the reason why I was very upset.
Yes. Now, this one makes sense to me, and I know they filled that back in.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That was all right, but
Yep.
they just pushed it all the way to the wetlands, and
Okay.
that's where we run into problems.
Right. Yeah.
So, if you, I don't know, Rich, you were out there as well.
Yeah, no, and I told them the same thing when they were there, not to.
Right, and they
go
did
any-
stop.
Any
and they
further.
Pushed everything back in.
Yeah,
Yeah, they went down further towards the woods.
because, well, right now it's covered
Wetlands.
with leaves, but when I was out there the next day, it was all pushed all the way to the edge of the wetlands.
Okay.
So,
I know they were trying to put it back. That was what they understood that had to happen, and I know they put it back, and they did no further work within 100 feet. They only did the gravel bed next to the driveway.
somehow that's got to be restored, cleaned up, away from, now is probably not the best time to do it because of the leaves and everything else that are coming in there. But I would like to see some kind of a plan in order to clean that up and
Okay.
restore the wetland.
I can talk with the landscaper and see if we can work that out. It was not undisturbed land. There was vinca growing there and daffodils from the former owners, so it was certainly not an undisturbed part of the property prior to this.
Okay.
Can I tell you what's going on? Is
Sure.
it-
Yeah, please.
This is my house.
Okay.
For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a 1941 Cape. When they built it, they built a driveway coming down from the street to a garage which is underground. Another shot of the driveway. And a close-up of the garage.
Yep.
The house predates the commission, and that's what they thought was okay in those days. This is what happens after a reasonably good rainstorm, and we're talking 2 inches. We're not talking hurricane. That's what happens to my driveway. Regularly, I'm out there, my neighbors all know me now, because I'm out there, this is where
With
I
a
have
sub
my...
pump?
Yeah, with a pool pump. A very heavy 40-pound pool pump that I drag out there with 75 feet of fire hose after every storm in order to clear the driveway, because the existing storm drain failed. There was a storm drain that I'm sure was fine 70 years ago. It's another view. And it failed. When I tried to get it cleared, it was a hole with big rocks in it and a pipe going into the woods. And so it couldn't be cleared because they couldn't put a snake through it. And at the time, I didn't know about the 100 feet. So that's what existed, and it was failing. I get water that goes right into the garage, and if I leave it and I don't pump it, it goes right into the basement. And so you can see the shop vac there. That was a good storm. This is my garage full of water. It's just the pipe. And another view of the setup that I put together. When I first had this happen, when I first moved into the property in 2018, there was a really good storm, and it was coming right into the basement, and I called my old landscaper, and he came over with his son and showed me how to set up this pool pump. I went and bought one the next day. They're a couple $100 so that I would be ready the next time. He showed me how to wrap the duct tape around the connection because I'm standing in water with an electric cord that's, GFI outlet, but it's not a good idea. But that's the answer to this right now. That puddle lasted almost all summer. It became a watering hole for the turkeys because everything else in the neighborhood dried up. I get wildlife in the puddle. I had frogs. They laid eggs. I had tadpoles. And then it started to dry up, so I scooped the tadpoles and I put them in a bucket and I took them down to County Street where there was still some water to save them. I had a crawfish. I had I think that's right side up. I had a sandpiper come visit that pond. I call it a pond. One day I had a bald eagle, but he didn't like the pond. He was just there. So that's what I've been dealing with. This is nothing fancy. I'm just trying to solve a major problem that existed that the original homeowners solved by having a storm drain. My thinking was gravel bed with an overflow pipe. The gravel bed's going to collect any particulate. The overflow pipe's going to have water. That was my thinking. That's obviously not okay. So what we did was just take out the overflow pipe, do a bigger gravel bed along the side of the driveway, nowhere near the 100-foot line, with a swale. And I haven't had any rain since, so I can't tell you if it's actually going to work. I'm hoping, because I'm getting tired. This is hard,
Yeah.
and it's every
I
storm.
understand your
So,
predicament.
thank you.
It's a,
Yep. Thank you for listening.
yes. And I do hope that works for you.
too.
Very definitely. You need to taper your driveway just a little bit.
Well, we did that.
Oh,
When they tried, the original company that came out and was gonna rebuild the storm drain, they dug down, I thought I had a picture of it, but they dug down and it happened to be a wet summer and the water table was right below. So they said they couldn't do anything in the ground, they couldn't put in a gravel bed, they couldn't do anything. I said, well, they were gonna patch the driveway. I said, well, don't just patch the driveway, can you pitch it off to the side? Then at least it's going away from the house. And they measured it, they had an engineer come out with a laser and all that, and they could get me about this much, because the garage is so low that in order to pitch to the side, they could get me just enough. The big deal they did, they repaved the whole driveway, I spent a fortune on that, and they put a berm up the top, so I'm not getting all the discharge from the street, which is an improvement, but I'm still getting a ton of water. So that was the best they could figure out to do. These guys were the first ones who offered me another solution, because I've been dealing with this ever since. So they did pitch it, but it's a very gradual pitch, and you get a good rainstorm and it doesn't keep up, so.
Unfortunately, we still have the,
Right, well, I will talk to the landscaper, see what we can do about the
all right.
area that was disturbed.
Could you work with our agent, our acting agent, John Thomas, to make sure that everything is done properly? Because I'm not an expert in
Okay.
that, and he can help you with
Great,
restoring that area.
I will do that.
Yeah, before the landscapers do any other stuff.
Right, no, they need instructions, because I'd need instructions on what needs to
See
be
it.
done there, right. Okay,
Do you want the after-action NOI, or let her come back and
Let her come
keep
back.
it simple plan?
Yeah, try to keep it simple. So, I'll give you, or Diana can give you the information to get a hold of John
excellent,
and try to work something out with
all
him,
right,
okay?
thank you.
So you want her to come back November 25th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For an update.
Okay.
He asks that you provide a plan, a not real detailed plan, but a plan that shows the area, shows the wetland resource, and roughly how you're going to work out restoring it
After I talk to John,
after you talk to John.
Absolutely.
Because just by word of mouth, you know, it's better that it's on paper, that we have something to follow.
okay. I will talk with him and we'll follow his instructions.
Okay.
Do you want the pictures?
You can
Just
put
the
them,
bald eagle, no.
No? Okay.
I have a file, I can put it in there.
Okay.
Sure.
People-
You might as well
yeah.
keep everything in the,
I won't give you the sandpiper. Or the salamander, I get some good wildlife.
Yeah, if you just call me at the office tomorrow, I can give you his contact.
yeah. She was trying to write.
We all said,
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a brook.
Yeah.
A perennial, although it's dry right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the other paperwork items before you?
Yeah, 204 East Street.
Yeah, they are working on closing. Barbados is selling this project, Bottomley selling the project. Bottomley passed away, actually. So it was found, there was one more order that was a local order, but tied to the 490 DEP order. So we need to do a certificate of compliance under 157F for Foxborough, 490, just to close. I think they were closing last Friday. They weren't going to hold up the closing because of this, but they do
Okay.
need this to wrap all the old ones up.
It's just,
This is just, it went with that, I don't know which one, 491. I think that was the original violation.
okay.
So there was a local one that went with it somehow.
All right, somebody want to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 157F 490?
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 157F9, excuse me, F490.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And these two people are here from Bragg Road.
What's that?
They're from Bragg Road.
Oh, okay, all right. Good, I did not make it down there. Oh.
You gotta close out this. I have one of these right now. You gotta close it out.
We have 9 Bragg Road, request for certificate of compliance, 157543. You want to come up? And I'll let Rich and Dave, because I wasn't down there, so. You want to start off, Rich?
Yeah, sure. We went out there, and they did do a stone path, like the original notice of intent, is it a notice of intent, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had talked about no high stone walls beside it, which it indicated on the plan that there was going to be a stone wall on each side. But they just layered stones along the side to hold the banking to line the walkway. The only issue we really had was with the landing when you get down to the pond. They opened up an area and put pea stone down. And that was not in the original plan. But I will say they weren't also aware of the original plan either from
Oh, okay.
when they bought the house. So, I mean, in talking to John, he was suggesting that we do an as-built plan for the work that's already been done.
Okay.
And then, instead of having them tear up the place where they've got the sitting chairs, have them do mitigation work. The whole hillside there has been disturbed. It was all, looks like it was all dug out originally when the builder was putting in the houses, and he built a retention basin.
Okay.
Right in front of the pond. And then all the land sloping down to it is all just bare sand and gravel. It's got some brush on it, but there's no topsoil on it.
Okay.
So the thinking there was to try and have them do the mitigation work along the side and just put topsoil and grass and wild flower seeds. And that way it leaves the path the same and leaves which was authorized, and it leaves your.
Are you talking like right in front of like the colorful chairs? Is that what you're talking about for soil?
No.
Or the other hill?
No, the other half. We walked all the way down to the pond.
Okay.
By the deck.
Okay.
You have that section there with the pea stone and the chairs sitting there, and all your
over there.
boats and whatnot.
Okay.
That was not in the original plan.
Okay.
So that's where the violation is. And so instead of having you tear it up and replant it with plants, suggestion was made that you do mitigation along the hillside by putting some soil down and just throwing some wild flower and grass seeds, natural mix.
Do you mean only like where those chairs are, or you're talking the hill? Like just so I'm like clear where.
The hillside.
The hillside.
Hillside.
Above the retention pond.
Oh.
There's a.
So you're talking in front of the like.
No,
right-
not in front of the retention pond.
No,
Towards the house.
Sorry.
You know where your walk is? Along the walk,
Yeah.
up towards the house.
Right. I just want to make sure I know the right spot for
Yeah.
to do it.
They did submit an as-built. Can you show her on the plan, maybe?
Yeah,
Oh,
there
yeah,
was an
that
as-built
one.
submitted,
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
by the engineer.
So,
Yeah, because we never cleared anything over there. It was.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you got the pea stone down there, so.
Yeah, but I mean, we
That's-
didn't like take anything down.
No.
That's what I meant.
So I don't mind closing out what was done under the old order.
There's none of the activities.
And it's been
that-
expired, so you would issue a certificate of compliance for the old order of conditions. But for anything new or something that was done without, that was outside the permit, I think we want to paper it. So it's either, we could just do a request for determination of applicability for the mitigation and the pea stone. And what else that was done that was beyond
So we
what
document
was
it,
permitted.
yeah.
So it's just, so we can paper it, document, whatever. I don't want to go through a full blown after the fact notice of intent for that work.
Yeah.
But it would require a separate filing,
Yeah, and I'm trying to.
very limited.
This came up because I'm trying to sell my house. I'm closing November 15th.
Ooh.
Jeez, so that-
That's why this all, I think,
Yeah.
came up.
Ooh. That throws a,
Well, number one, we have an order that hasn't expired.
They asked for one extension, but I think the extension expired too, even after. 'cause
We
that was
could do this. We could issue enforcement tonight and have this work done under the enforcement, so that it wouldn't require a new filing. We could issue a cease and desist, or not a cease and desist, enforcement, and a certificate of compliance. And as soon as the mitigation's done, we just are notified that someone goes out to the site, looks at it,
Okay.
and then we lift the enforcement.
Basically, my landscaper
You can do the work essentially under an enforcement with the commission.
Okay, okay.
I don't think that's gonna,
I could probably have it's a
Screw
Foxborough
your-
landscaper.
screw up your-
I think I could probably have him do that soon
your
for
sale.
me. Yeah, I would love to get that done, because it's been, my husband passed away in March, and I'm just trying to get everything done and,
Okay.
just to close it out.
Okay, so we'd have to issue an enforcement tonight, though.
okay.
Vote on that.
So can you just tell me exactly where we need to do it, like on that plan, so I know?
Yeah.
Rich, here's a bigger plan.
Well, I mean, this whole hill is a mess. I don't know.
So Diane, we'd have to issue an enforcement order. We'd have to send one out.
Yeah, I don't have,
This whole
I
thing
have a
is-
certificate of compliance. I don't have anything ready for an enforcement order.
But we could do that, and they could just pick it up.
This is all
Yeah.
the area.
Oh, this area.
We have to
Or I
sign
could
it.
email it to the lawyer.
I just have,
Yep.
I just have John sign it.
John could sign it.
The pea stone is down
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I'll
Yeah,
tell
this
him
is a-
tomorrow to write one up and sign it, and then I can email it over to them.
And then all this work they could get
Oh,
done
down
under
there.
the enforcement.
It's like in this area, like over there.
All of this area.
Just gotta identify what
It's
the work
like,
is.
it's like in this spot.
It's a huge area.
And like all of this is just
It's all, yeah, it's just.
not good soil and
It's, yeah, it's just got
Yeah,
the
but
sand and
if they're
gravel.
talking about the, I
You
think
can
they
see
may
the
be
sand
talking
and
about like the
gravel.
hill area,
It's grown up.
it's always been like that.
It's just, it's a small area.
Yeah.
Everything between the walk and the detention is already growing, trees, shrubs, plant, it's thick.
so it's better to restore over here.
If you, yeah, this is totally exposed, this whole place was cut out, dug out probably for gravel. And then they put the basin in for the street drainage. That's what it looks like. And they never restored this with loam or seeds. And it's very steep. It would have washed
You can
out
see by the
anyways.
contours, yeah.
Yeah, it would have washed out. But the original plan showed a greater disturbance with two retaining walls on both sides of
Yeah.
the path. And the area that was gonna store the docks and equipment was a little bit on the upper side. When they bought it, none of that work had been done.
Right.
And they went and did everything by hand, but they didn't realize that you had this plan that you're supposed to follow or come back to the
Right.
commission to say, we'd like to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lawyers never found it.
So when did you buy the property?
2019.
Okay.
So when you go down here, okay, yes, they're right at the edge of the bordering land subject to flooding. There may be, just maybe a couple feet higher. So the other disturbance was up here. So this goes up a hill and then comes down to this part. None of this is eroding. That's one key thing. Everything is pretty well stabilized, and they've got stones stopping any erosion all along this back side.
And it was all done by hand.
Yeah, we're crazy.
So if you look at versus the original work, this is completely very undisturbing.
Yeah.
The only trouble is that, you know, if we want to have some mitigation in there or restoration or loom and wildflowers, again, it's getting late.
Yeah, it's tough to do it.
And secondly, there's hardly any soil on that. That was pure sand and gravel.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't think we should, you know, be looking at a very large area.
Right.
The original owner, applicants were going to loom and seed this whole area on the original plan.
Yeah.
That never got done. Nor did any of that construction get done. Nor did this get done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just a walkway.
So
Yeah, because I don't know.
how much,
Not much is going to hold over the winter.
yeah.
If they do anything. Just be a waste of time.
So do we say it's like evens out, because it's not a huge area that wasn't permitted, that was just, but they ended up disturbing less of what had been permitted?
But then who's responsible for maintaining it after they sell the place?
Which she's about to do, so.
Yeah.
That is a key point. I don't know legally how that.
I don't know, Jim.
What do you mean maintaining it? I mean, what is there a continuing condition in the order?
Don't know.
Oh,
Well, the order's
so.
expired, right?
About to, I guess.
Did the extension
They didn't
expire?
do all of that.
Yeah, they asked for an
They did.
If they
extension
didn't do
probably
it,
just before they
that's
sold it, because
fine.
they asked for
I mean,
an
they were
extension in
seeking to
2019.
ask for permission to do the work. If they choose not to
And
do
that's
the
only
work,
for
Yeah.
1 year?
that's okay. It's just if
So
they
you can
go
extend it for 3
beyond,
years, but that would be till
Yeah.
2022.
or
Add
Yeah.
400 some
Something
odd
that
days for the
wasn't in
COVID
front of us.
thing, that's
Yeah.
still
when we permitted the project.
2024 now, so it would have
Just
expired
have
last
do
year
mitigation
sometime.
around the Keystone area and an
Yeah,
area equal
yeah.
to that.
I mean, we could keep the enforcement as limited as we want.
I think that's fair at this point. It just,
Yep.
anything else they do to that hillside just isn't going to hold. It's just a waste of their time and money.
Yeah.
There's no time for anything to grow. So I would just, propose something around that area,
And it's sunny.
It's all that area right there.
There's enough sun that you could get shrubs or trees starting to grow. You don't really see deer damage out there.
Yeah.
I don't know, is there anything that can be done before?
15th?
Can it carry from one homeowner to the next?
I was wondering that very
Well, you
question.
can, but then that's not gonna go over well with the fire.
Yeah.
That's not gonna, I mean, you could obligate the,
I've never
Fire to
really
take
seen
on.
whenever I've gone down there, like nothing's really has moved around like between the winters or like spring or rain or anything. Like it always seems very.
There's no
like,
erosion down there.
There's nothing, yeah, it's like very secure. I don't know.
I mean, the buyer takes on any violations, right?
Yeah.
Well, we would
She's
look to
trying
have the
make the sale
violations
go through.
removed.
Trying to make the sale go through.
And the enforcement lifted before the,
You would
before the
want
closing
to,
date. I
right.
think we could do that.
Yeah, if you could get it done
Yeah.
within the time
We
period.
Yeah,
still
I would,
have
I would like to get it done
a
if we
little
can.
over 2 weeks, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
How do we specify what the area is?
Yeah.
I don't know, that's,
Say an area around it equal to the area that's been disturbed?
Usually we go a ratio, but,
Well,
yeah.
I could do the same thing, just give them,
But, how do you do
you
anything
map it
this?
out?
Yeah, how do you do anything this time of year?
Nothing's gonna happen.
Well, certain shrubs and trees, if you probably talk to a good landscaper, they could probably survive, but they have to be maintained and watered, at least, this few weeks after you put them in. And hopefully they survive for the winter, but then again, if they don't, what do we do?
Yeah.
Well, we might explore having some money held back from the closing, so that the buyer would be protected as well. I would have to actually discuss that, obviously, with buyer's counsel, but if it doesn't take prior to closing, that may be something we might explore.
Yeah, or I don't know, would it be like
Plants
something
and
where it could be
shrubbery.
like, we know that the landscaper would charge this X amount of money to do it in the spring, because I have like a Cahill Landscaping in
That'd be-
Foxborough, and maybe that way I don't waste the money if it doesn't work.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
then
option.
just pay,
Set that
set
aside.
that money up, like
Yeah.
have them give me a quote, and I give it to the
I'd be okay with
buyer.
that, yeah.
You know?
If you wanna,
That's great.
Because I
That's
don't
it.
want to waste
That-
the money, it
yeah,
not working then.
Exactly,
we can put that in as a condition with the enforcement.
yeah.
I like that idea because then it makes sure that the new buyers are definitely aware of the
What's
situation and
going
that
on,
they
yeah.
are required to maintain that area.
Right.
So-
Right.
Yeah, I just don't want it like to put some trees in or bushes and then they're not going to survive
Yeah, it's
anyway.
unlikely.
Right, and then have the new people come in and take them out.
Yeah.
or-
Right.
So if it's an extended period into the spring to allow for,
Yeah,
Sure.
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
so the buyer would have to understand that we wouldn't lift the enforcement because the work hasn't been done, that it's on them, but the money's there for
Right.
them to do it in the spring. And as soon as they do it,
Then the
then we'll lift the
enforcement.
enforcement.
Then do they come to you?
They would come
and
back here
Have you look?
and we would take care of that with them.
You think that would work for them?
I would think so. I mean, well,
You're paying for it, so.
right.
Right,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
know, do you tell me, I don't know what it is it whatever you tell me what to do, then I'll just tell my landscaper what they need to do.
What kind of bushes, just,
You want to have John?
I think one of us with John and the landscaper should get together ASAP and figure out what type of plantings to put and where.
I would, just on the upper edge of the walkway,
Okay,
kind of,
okay, you gotta remember though, that's total sub. So whatever goes in there
Yeah,
is
whatever you-
upland species.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's gonna have to survive and be given some loom around the hole that,
Yeah.
they dig by hand.
so,
Okay. You, John, landscaper?
Yeah, but I would recommend that if we can.
You want to go too?
Okay, doesn't matter, I mean, whatever date works out best. If he can't make it, I'll go. If we both can make it, we'll both go.
I mean, I can reach out to Cahill, they're always really responsive.
Okay.
And then just figure out, like, put maybe an email together to
Yeah.
to like send that out, okay.
all right.
And so you'll tell the landscaper where it is, because I still don't understand.
We'll walk
where
through
this
the
is.
landscape of what
They'll go with
we
them.
want
Okay.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll walk through what we propose to do with the landscaper.
So John and you guys can all, or the landscaper, can meet and finalize what this mitigation plan will look like.
Okay.
And we can take.
John
the-
can issue an enforcement, and then we can ratify it at the next meeting in November,
Yeah,
once we know.
And so tonight, do we issue the
They
Tonight
need
we'll
the
issue the
cer-
certificate of
certificate
compliance.
of compliance?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll take the as-built plan and work out on it, the location, the area,
For the files. Yeah.
and that could be submitted as, an updated plan. Everybody could put their initials on it.
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 9 Bragg Road. Do we have a DEP number for that?
157543,
There you go.
Second. Oh, That's all right.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I-
Rich, you want to take these plans?
So tomorrow, who should I contact?
Yeah, I have to, John wasn't available tonight, so I will call him in the morning and talk about putting an enforcement order together and then you guys can try to coordinate. He tries to come out here on Fridays. I don't know if he's available this Friday or not, or if he could come another day, but I'll see what his availability is.
Okay. Oh,
Public knowledge. Why don't you put your email down, and I'll connect you with Diana. or
that would be great. Thank you. Yeah, that way, I'm sure that Dan Cahill can meet with us.
All right.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
good.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
So the certificate of compliance will be, how is that issued?
They sign it tonight. I can have it ready tomorrow. I can
Okay.
email it, or you can come pick it up, or I can email it, and then I can mail the original, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, if you could email it, that would be great, and then we can pick up the original. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Have a good one.
I'm going to Jan interviewing. Again. You're so good.
Really? I'm just gonna ask what other people, they wanna do.
You want to
When
do the
that time
Wetland
is.
Bylaw Review Committee thing? Who you going to have that, on that? That
Now,
we're
we
gonna do?
can,
You want to do that later?
yeah. We have two people left in the room. You haven't run out in dismay or anything, you're still sticking in. Cameron, why don't you come up?
Well, so Paige Eppolito suggested that they both go outside, and then they come in one at a time.
Oh, okay. Whatever Paige wants.
Okay.
The HR lady. So. So Nadia, if you wouldn't mind going, sitting in the lobby for a few minutes while we talk to Cameron in a minute.
We didn't completely scare you away?
Oh, I'm used to committees and commissions, and it's nice to see an environmental themed one for once, so
Good.
glad to be here. Thank you.
So, just for the commission,
This
this is Cameron Bennett. The three of us had a great interview with Cameron a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Had an opportunity to talk with Cameron about her interest in this position, her background, her current position down in Rhode Island. Obviously, her reasons as to why she's qualified for this position, which I thought you had great answers. So we wanted the opportunity for you to, witness how things work, which, as you mentioned, you've been in committee meetings and have seen how these things work before, I'm sure, and how the public comes in and presents their permits and, presents their applications for permits and how we review and provide comment and all that. So I thought it made sense for the commission members who hadn't had an opportunity to talk with Cameron, to ask questions sort of in follow-up to what we've already gone over.
And I do have extra copies of my resume if anyone
I
needs
think
them.
I make copies
Okay.
for everybody, yeah.
So maybe, just for their sake, I know that, it's probably gonna be like you're retreading what we talked about, but maybe go through why you think you're qualified, sort of your background, where you are currently working, and how that really will work in the position as a commission agent for
Absolutely.
Foxborough.
So I currently am the Assistant Planning Director for the City of Pawtucket. I staff the Planning Commission, the Historic District Commission, and the Riverfront Commission for the city, which and it seems to have a lot of overlap in at least the role of, my role and then the role of the conservation agent seems to be fairly similar in terms of what we do for the actual commission and writing something prepping for it, meeting with people beforehand, seeing applicants come in, reviewing their site plans, going through what they need, what requirements there are, and then also doing anything that the commission would require. In Pawtucket, we have technical review committee meetings to prepare for it and create lists of conditions or potential conditions for the commission to consider. And then afterwards, writing filings and things that would go into land evidence records. So that's, in my current job, that's a big part of my role. But prior to that, my background is all environmental. So I was an environmental scientist for several years, working for local environmental consulting firms. I have my master's in environmental policy and my undergraduate degree in environmental studies. So I think and I don't want to just repeat myself from what we've talked about, but I think in terms of this role, this combines the kind of two sides of my experience into one role, that I get. It would be the opportunity to be able to go back towards my environmental roots with conservation and get to explore wetlands in a way that I haven't been able to yet, that I wanted to in various roles before. And then also with my municipal experience, pulling that in of how committees, commissions work, what all the legal requirements are, the ability to understand and read and learn policy. So I think it's the balance of those two sides, and that's what made me so excited about this position and this opportunity.
Can you expand upon your knowledge relative to wetland delineation and whatnot? I'm not sure what an environmental, your degree entails, so.
So I am not an official wetland scientist. I, in my current role, deal a lot with stormwater management and identifying wetlands. But when I had been working for various environmental consulting firms, I had started to learn more wetland delineation and never actually, I don't have that expansive knowledge yet, but it's something that I've always been interested in. I had started going out and doing delineations with a senior scientist at my last environmental consulting job, but then was offered my current position before I could take that further. But it has always been an interest, and it would be something that would probably be a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm not unfamiliar with it.
How are you with dealing with difficult situations? We find ourselves often in a balancing act, not to.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Try and
landscaper,
resolve
that
something.
lady, the landscaper came in, wasn't that nice.
Yeah, I deal with a lot of developers. So anyone who comes in, and whether it's with their attorneys, with their engineers, with whomever, and trying to tell people who want to come in and say, this is my application, it's complete, and having to talk to them and say, actually, no, it's not. You didn't put any of this information that's required, or we need a little bit more information from you before we can move forward. I think one of the examples that I gave a couple weeks ago was we had someone come in who wanted to build right on the top of a hill going down to the Meshasik River and the wetlands surrounding it. And they came in and just said, yeah, we're good. We don't have to do anything, and kind of had to do, all right, back up. We're going to have to figure out how to move this forward before we can actually go to the commission. And got a meeting with the state's Rhode Island DEM, sat down with their wetlands team to go through what the process would be to make sure that they have a wetlands alteration permit in place before they go further with us as well. So, yes, I do know
The process.
that kind of stuff with, yeah, we've had some difficult people who've come in and dealing with angry people and trying to make sure that the mood in the room comes down before having conversations. But yes, I'm very familiar.
Any other questions or?
Have you had any experience, or has anybody come before your board where developers might be potentially wanting to work in an area where there's a vernal pool that has not been, actually, the situation just came up earlier, like, it is, we have a vernal pool we think about, is probably a vernal pool, but it hasn't been certified yet. Like, how do you?
So that's not, Pawtucket is a very urban city, so we don't have, I don't think there is a single vernal pool in the entire city of Pawtucket. So that hasn't come up, but I have had to deal with, other issues of people making arguments saying that conditions are one way when we go out and look at them, and it's very different, and having to kind of put a hold on developers moving forward and before, so that we can actually go in and verify that the argument that they're making is correct. And sometimes that takes a little time, and sometimes they're not extremely happy about it, but that is the way that it works, so.
Thanks.
How about juggling multiple, with these, what we seem to have going on all the time are numerous different types of filings that are constantly being thrown at you. Have you been project-specific, or do you manage multiple projects at the same time?
I manage, so when I mention the commissions that I staff, I am completely in charge of any development that goes on in the city of Pawtucket, as well as any historic property that is looking for an alteration, or any property that's in the Riverfront District. So we have all sorts of applications coming in at all times. So there's a lot of that. And then I have larger projects as well. I'm working on a bike path. I just did our city's hazard mitigation plan, working on getting solar energy on municipal buildings. So like there are some, I have these larger projects, but I also deal with every single developer who's trying to do anything in the city of Pawtucket.
The learning curve is going to be different versus city and being in the office. Eventually, as you stay on, you want to get up to 30, 50% of your time outside in the field, not just for projects, maybe following up what's going on, that they're following plans, meeting with a landowner wanting to do something, or one that doesn't want to agree what you saw. And also you need to learn, how can you enter upon the property? There are some basic things here that it's part of the learning curve. So being in the office and those type of discussions, you try to get out in the field more, get feel of the area. As you learn about wetlands and uplands and tree species and the hydraulics, soils in this state, that's the biggest key factor, knowing them. And the state does have classes sometimes, learning more about the soils. MACC has sessions, and I think they're online too, about various outdoor wetlands and other wildlife, topics. So those things, are something that is available, and that will catch you up with an area that's kind of rural right around here.
Yeah, to be honest, one of the things I really liked about this position was that it does get to be on site and get to be outside and not just trapped behind a desk. That was when I was working as an environmental scientist. There was a lot of being out and doing inspections and looking at properties, and I do miss that a lot. So it was, I look forward to that piece.
We also have over 1,000 acres, 1,200 acres maybe, of conservation lands, and some easements and other things, and they really haven't been maintained. Some of them are actively hayed. A lot of them are just woodlands with trails, and the bikers use them, and people walk them. That is one thing that this commission is kind of behind on. Again, it's because of the budgets. Sometimes you have to try to get volunteers, and we haven't been that good at that yet. So that's another thing in understanding how does this fit in your open space recreation plan that's required by every town in this state if you want to be able to apply for any grants, to make improvements, to buy land, or improve the outdoor recreational uses or accessibility. So that's one thing also, that's a ticket that has to be, if you know anything about open space rec plans, they are different in this state. And it's every 5 years, but with the pandemic, they now almost like asking to update it over a 7-year period. They're very helpful. There's only 2 people in that office that covers the whole state relative to open space rec plans. So we got as far as comments on the draft. The draft is what, 2 years old at least, maybe?
I don't know, Heather took over that project, so I don't know where it stands now.
Didn't our new town planner submit it? I heard that she did.
Oh, maybe. There was something that had to be done for it to be submitted,
Yeah.
and if that got done, then-
I think it's been submitted.
How can you submit it without our review and approval? Eventually, the selectmen have to see it. There's a whole packet.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. That's an issue for another
Only so much you can
discussion
do.
for another time. So. All right, anything else?
No.
Any comments?
Any questions for us before?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was just wondering what your general impression of tonight's meeting was.
Yeah,
High
actually,
points, low points.
well, I did have a question about the role of the conservation agent with some of the decisions that were made. I mean, I know that on that last one, getting the enforcement written and getting that over to them. But for looking at the, I guess 2 of them were withdrawn, but the NOI that was submitted, I mean, what are next steps that the conservation agent would take after this meeting?
Okay,
those
he would
notices?
write the order of conditions for the notices, and then follow up on that, so that, and he has pre-construction meetings for different projects, but yeah, it's multiple. You can probably relate what Jane was doing.
Yeah, so, I mean, generally, when we had John works in Norton, so that's why he works full-time in Norton, so he's limited over here. So I fill out everything in the order, and then usually Jane would put in the conditions to have for tonight, but we're kind of doing it backwards now. So I fill out the draft order, they sign it, then I send it to John. So when it comes back, it's all set to be filed with DEP. So he puts in the special conditions and, the standard conditions, the special conditions that the board vote on. Then I file it with DEP. Then if the project were to go forward, we are in the middle of getting online permitting for everybody. Building and Board of Health have it right now. Planning has a beta site. They're working on conservation and zoning. So once everybody's on that, everything's supposed to be coordinated so that when the project goes to the building department, then it'll automatically kick to all of us. But they do have pre-construction meetings for a lot of the bigger projects, or even like Eisenhower Lane, the 4-lot subdivision, they had pre-construction meetings for that. With all department heads, not just conservation. They do conservation, Board of Health, planning, whoever they got a permit from. They have pre-construction meetings in town hall. Then if there's something site-specific, they would go out and meet with the, like Joe Lynch was here today for the Goodwin Drive. That's a subdivision, he bought a lot, and, he needed his wetlands approved when they put in the hay bales and all of that, or the, not hay bales. Yeah, when they put in when they put in the wetlands limit of work. So John had previously looked at that and said it was fine to go ahead. So it's more ongoing. And then as construction goes along, we have a town engineer who's looking at things for the planning board, but they don't really, like the building commissioner doesn't really do wetland stuff. And the the town engineer kind of knows about it, so he's kind of keeping an eye on things for us, but it would be more like, you would go out and make sure, like, wasn't there that one subdivision, the roadway went into the wetlands a little too much. That's something that Jane might have caught if she was here, but, so just stuff like that.
He also does a report for every
Yeah.
one of our meetings, so, and we rely on it a lot, that I can see. So for every subject that's gonna come up, John will, or the agent will give us his little, notes on what we should possibly do, or what we can do, or, what next steps might be. So I think that's a big part.
Right, because the town works generally under the Wetland Protection Act, and then there's also a town bylaw. So that's where all of these conditions come from.
And it was hard for you to see tonight because John wasn't able to be here, but
Yeah.
But
you do
John,
have a role in the meeting.
John is willing to mentor and help whoever gets hired
Excellent.
as we go along. He has told me that. Being that if they go over there and attend some of their meetings or go on site visits with him when he's over here or whatever, he's willing to help
Yes.
to keep
That's great.
with us for a while.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have anybody to,
Yeah.
except for you guys.
Yeah, but we need the advice.
Yes.
Mainly it's review and recommend, and keep your ears open and listen. You're not to make a decision for the commission. They have to make that decision, but you bring the facts.
So you deal with the day-to-day people.
Yep.
Now I have to call Bob a lot. But it would go back on the agent, if someone says, my neighbor is cutting down trees and there's wetlands there, then it's up to you to go and try to figure it out.
So, anything else? We will talk to Paige tomorrow, and you'll hear from Paige tomorrow.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so
Great,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to see you again.
Good to see you.
Right, thank you.
Drive carefully.
Thanks.
One more. Okay.
Let me sit.
Come on up.
Oh, come on up. We didn't scare you away completely?
No.
Okay.
I had fun listening to everyone at the meeting.
That's
so,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear all their stories too. So, because I was reading beforehand, I was like, oh, okay, that matches a little bit now, seeing some of the pictures and hearing about some of the things going on. So, yeah.
Good. I think it was important to have you have the opportunity to see sort of how, at least a meeting, how that works.
Yeah.
To see the applicants come in and present their, whatever their proposed project is, listen to the comments of the commission. But, so we had an opportunity to talk with Adia last Tuesday, I believe. Yeah. The three of us again were able to sit and talk with her about, why she's interested with this position. We talked about her qualifications, which very impressive. She's now working with the Department of Environmental Protection out in the Worcester office.
Yes.
Okay. Which I think is, for someone who wants to get into a position like this, Conservation Commission agent, is a good stepping stone towards that. What she's being exposed to, her experiences, I think it'll be really helpful. She's seen a lot of what we see, I think, as a commission. We also talked about, her background. but I thought it would be important to have you meet the other commission members who you didn't meet at the meeting. And let them have the opportunity to meet you, talk to you, have questions for you. So to start off, why not? I know it's sort of a retread to explain why you why you applied for this position. Why you're interested in it, your background, why your qualifications make you really qualified for this commission agent position.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd love to elaborate again. I don't mind repeating. But yeah, as you mentioned, I do work for Mass DEP, so I've worked with the Solid Waste and Wetlands Department. So a big reason why I applied to this position is because my minor was in conservation, and I kind of designed that in college. So I've always found a love of wetlands, conservation, sustainability. And I feel already with the work that I've done with DEP kind of really aligns with this role, especially there's a lot of different overlap about talking to residents, going out to do many site inspections, issuing NOIs and COCs, looking over wetland permits, solid waste regulations, wetland regulations, things like that, writing technical reports. So that was a big part of why I wanted to apply to the position, because I also want to make a positive impact on the environment. That's why I majored in environmental engineering.
And your background at DEP is certainly a big plus.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you got a very extensive credentials here.
Thank you.
I normally ask about credentials, but I can see reading you're loaded. I'll go to my, how are you with working with people? Do you work directly with the general public in your role?
Yeah, so I work within Mass DEP. I work with different stakeholders, so outside of the company, and then also working with various residents and town members, town residents, a part of different towns and facilities. So there's definitely a lot of public work, I would say.
And you're right now the environmental engineer and scientist for
Yes. Yep.
for the city of Pawtucket? Oh, no, that's yeah, no. Where is that?
She's in Worcester.
Oh, in Worcester.
Worcester,
That's right.
yep.
I was going to ask if you could, in your current work experience with DEP, and I don't want to keep us here all night, but just maybe give us, in a short summary, maybe a challenging project that you were part of, and explain how that, if there was resolution or there wasn't, or just give us a slice of what it was like for what you were doing working with DEP.
Yeah, that's a great question. So kind of as I mentioned, I've been to certain town meetings being a part of DEP, and there's a specific site in particular, I'm not going to mention the town due to various reasons, but there is an issue in terms of the facility. I think I mentioned this in the interview as well. There's an issue that the resident wanted to build a massively large facility, wanted to have a commercial marijuana operation. Unfortunately, that could not be built because of the regulations with wetlands, the contamination area, and also the resident was not abiding by the process to even get, a permit and get that approval. It was a lot of different back and forth, but I definitely highlight that as a challenge because it's about always going out to that site and trying to educate that resident about what they can and cannot do. Obviously, they think it's their land. They don't understand the importance of wetlands and why they may not be building that facility and potentially ruining the land there. And we wanted to preserve it. So there's a little bit of challenge with the back and forth, but that was essentially the resolution that they could not build that facility on site.
Thanks.
Nadia, in your role, are you basically working on one project at a time, or do you handle multiple projects?
Yep.
So you're comfortable, switching from one to another?
Yes.
On a regular basis?
Yes, I do that very often.
If you had a great question for Cameron about continuing education.
Oh, continuing education.
Yeah, where essentially, brought up how your time becomes more, you spend more time outside of the office dealing with administrative
field work
stuff or
versus
field
office.
work, yeah. And the opportunities through MACC and,
You have experienced some work with DEP, and you see with MassDOT too. With a local agent, though, you eventually want to be able to be working with people outside in the field and not stuck in the office all the time. And there's a learning curve on that as you start out. And we're not as big as with all the state regulations and what you have to know, but it's more local, responding to a phone call. Someone saying that somebody's doing something that doesn't seem to be right, and responding and knowing how to approach that type of situation, because you cannot just walk on private property, but you can observe. And those things you're going to want to learn, get yourself up to 30, 50% of the time, hopefully outside. And we got over 1,000 acres of conservation lands that really have no maintenance because we just don't have the budget.
Right.
And you have to learn some of those areas because what's happening is the lands that are being developed now are really marginal. And sometimes they're next to municipal lands. So you have to keep an eye out and understand the wildlife in this area too. Besides wetlands, there's association, but it's more local instead of at the state level. You can learn everything and know everything or experience it, but when you get to the local, it's different because it's a local wetlands law, but we also have a local bylaw. So that's where the learning curve is. And it takes a little while.
When you were sitting here and listening to the whole, everybody that was coming up before you, did you have ideas in your head? Everything sounded familiar and you thought were you kind of working? You know what I mean? Were you sitting here and listening to the people coming up and thinking, okay, well, that's this, the route to go here might be this, or was that stuff popping in your head because you're very familiar with it all?
Yeah, I would definitely say I was taking some notes based off of what I was hearing and just kind of thinking back to maybe some similar situations that I've had with certain residents. I think obviously I'd have to do more research into, the sites and look at their site plans, but it definitely kind of brought back more memories of being able to kind of do that work myself and then also, let them know that, they can't, I think there was one of the examples of, entering past the 100, feet buffer zone of the wetlands, so that one was very familiar. So things like that, yes, I was definitely thinking back to, still what I do at DEP, so I was writing down some notes to remember
Greek.
some of these, yep.
do you have any questions of us? I know that you saw tonight, forgive us for not having the agent here, so you can sort of see his role in the meeting, but any questions about, how this runs or what the expectations would be as an agent, how do you be involved, not just the meeting, but through the day-to-day?
I'd love to hear more of that collaboration, just day-to-day town meetings.
Diana, you nailed it.
So without having an agent, generally, what the agent would have had the complete orders ready for tonight. But since we don't have a full-time agent, John works in Norton full-time, so we kind of do it backwards now. So I do a draft, with all the information of the person and the signature page. They sign it, then I send it to John, and he's filling out the information based on the Wetlands Protection Act, based on the town bylaw, and all special conditions. And then he sends it back to me, and then I just marry it with the signature page, and I can send it to DEP. But generally, you would already have this information ready to discuss conditions with the commission, and then you could add any other special conditions that come up during the course of the meeting. But then after that, so we're in the middle of getting online permitting for the town. The building department and Board of Health have been on it for a while, but they're putting planning, zoning, and conservation on the, we've been working with a consultant to get that going. They have a beta site up for planning right now, and they're supposed to have planning and conservation. I think they have to have it all done before the end of the year. It's a grant program, so that the funds have to be used. And once they do that, then when someone goes for their building permit, if they need conservation work, it would automatically come over to us, to be reviewed by the agent for their, if they'd be working within 100 feet of the wetlands or whatever. And then also for existing projects, they have pre-construction meetings, with the applicants, their engineers, and any town departments that they dealt with, be it Conservation, Board of Health, Planning Board, not really Zoning Board. And then also they would do site inspections for, we have a few subdivisions that are under construction, so they go out every once in a while. We do have the town engineer that gives us a report every Friday on ongoing projects. There's only a few, Eisenhower Lane and Lawson Farm are the two big ones right now. But you'd have to go out a few of those. So they come in and they get the subdivision approval, but then there's individual lots that have wetlands on them, so we need to check to make sure the builders are adhering to what they're supposed to. They make them put out the limit of work with orange construction fencing so they don't go past the limit of work, because we used to just do it without the orange construction fencing and everybody ignored it. So, and then it's just the day-to-day. Someone calls. They call with all kinds of fun things.
Someone's cutting down trees and they
Yeah,
shouldn't be
someone's cutting down trees. My neighbor's cutting down trees. The town,
Frogs.
National Grid was doing
in
a
the
lot of
swimming
tree
pools.
trimming this weekend, this past summer.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody was like, can they do that? Well, yeah. Any big piece of land that someone lives next to, and if anybody goes out there and does anything, they call up, what are they doing? They're allowed to do perk tests and such under minor exempt work without telling us what they're doing, so. But you get a lot of, some irate people, some not irate people. Things on the reservoir, the styrofoam floating in the reservoirs from somebody's dock. Lots of stuff on the reservoir, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, the reservoir brings a lot of activity.
Yeah.
Foxborough's, Gillette Stadium, believe it or not, is before us on a semi-regular basis, and they were just before us, so that is another big stakeholder in town that the conservation agent will have to have a relationship with and then work with, or.
Yeah, there's a few. The Revolution practice facility is near wetlands. The new football practice facility they're going to put up is kind of near wetlands. There's a river that runs.
It's not a practice facility they're putting up a building.
Yeah, but it's going to be used for
I thought they said football.
football
practice.
operations. I think that's what it is.
Operations,
Yes,
yeah.
football operations, and it goes right out to the practice field.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's also the open space plan, the
Well,
trainings
those
with the
enforcement orders tonight.
enforcement orders, for violations.
You're gonna be busy.
Yeah, a lot of it is like Bob had to do, you go out one day, you tell them stop because things are going the wrong way, but Jane would frequently then go back the next day, like, are you really doing it? And then maybe a week later, did you do what we said we were gonna do? And there are certain people in this town that do things that we're aware of that we are not always pleased with, so.
Just keep in mind that the agent doesn't make a decision on these matters. They have to observe, use their education, and try to explain what's going on. And, help out with the recommendations that we get from John on the manager's report so that the commission can make the decision. So it isn't the agent that's going to go out there that you might have a role in at DEP. It's more education and to provide the facts and overcome distraught opinions.
Yeah, we do have, like, those two people that ended up withdrawing tonight, neither one of them came to the office before. I mean, I know the one kind of talked to Jane, but those emails were over 2 years old.
Yeah.
They should have came to the office to find out what they should apply for, and they didn't go through that process. It would have saved them a lot of time, because I would have, had them send the plans to me and sent them to John, and he would have said NOI right away without a determination. I know there was another gentleman that came in on Friday, did the same process. He sent me the plans, I sent them to John. John said it's going to be an NOI. So, you need to be able to talk to people to tell them what they're going to apply for. They also do ANRADs for wetland delineations before they start projects. That's meeting with the wetland scientists on site to go over the wetlands delineations. What else do we do? I mean, sometimes it's really busy, sometimes it's not. Hopefully in the winter here, we're getting more towards the slow time, but come spring, everybody's out again.
Yeah.
And Paige tells me that online permitting has to be up by November.
Online what?
All our online permitting has to be done by November.
Oh, yeah.
That's like 5 days.
So do you have any questions for us?
I think I asked a bulk of my questions in the interview, but I guess, is there any other questions in your guys' mind that could help clarify in terms of like candidacy or anything like that?
No, just as long as you understand the role will be to educate us and give us what our options are.
Yes.
Which is, but, we're good.
All right.
Thank you.
Paige will be talking to you tomorrow,
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Have a good
thank
night.
you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
And then we'll discuss after.
Yeah. Thank you so
Good
much.
night. Drive carefully.
Since we have Rich here in person, does he want to talk about the styrofoam docks? That's been on the agenda since the summer.
Yeah, we were supposed to send a letter out at one point,
Well,
John.
who is it? Did anybody ever find out who it was?
John thought he knew it was. We identified, I can go back, I'll have to look at it. But the Neponset Reservoir folks thought it was one person, and John thought it was not that person, so.
No.
But yeah, so I assume nothing's gone out on it.
Doesn't seem it.
Yeah, all right, I'll get the name and.
Because we just kept saying, this is Rich's thing.
This is Rich.
Yes, I'm trying to throw it back at him. Nice. But I'll get the name and the address of.
All right. Anything else?
Your review committee, wetland bylaw review committee, we need to, I don't think we did we volunteer
No.
people? Or did people volunteer for it?
I'll volunteer for it.
I will also volunteer for it. I think I was volunteered for
I
it.
think you were.
I'll accept that.
I think you were volunteered. Involunteered.
You can have up to 3.
Who wants to be the third person?
I'll be the third.
We'll find a good place to have our meetings.
All right, maybe New York?
I'll do New York. Make it expensive.
All right. Any other site visit updates or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, motion to close the meeting,
Make a motion to close the meeting?
Second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?